Sustainable diet, food waste and packaging. What will you learn? In this lesson, we look into the matter of waste created by the food we throw away, as well as from food packaging. After the lesson, you will be able to discuss how food waste and packaging affects nature, societies and economies, distinguish instances when food packaging is necessary and when it can be avoided, identify strategies to prevent, reduce or recycle food waste and packaging. Let's watch the video Reducing Plastic Pollution.
Not that long ago, fishermen of the coast of Indonesia used to wrap their lunches in banana leaves, which they would then casually toss overboard when done. That was okay because the leaves decayed and the fish ate the scraps. But in the past decade, plastic bags and packaging waste had replaced banana leaves. However, old habits die hard. The mountains of plastic littering oceans and land is not just Indonesia, but a worldwide problem. And the food industry is right in the middle of it. What can we as consumers do? Let's unwrap the issue of packaging waste.
Packaging enables things to be transported in a way that is safe and is actually protecting the nutritional value of, for example, food.
Plastic packaging has made our lives easier since it is invented in the 1800s.
Gabriella and Siska both work for Danone and are looking for ways to reduce waste created from food packaging.
It has enabled a lot of people to get out of poverty because in the past, food would go to waste or wouldn't be able to actually keep the value before reaching the end consumer.
That is true, but it has come at a price. Some of the waste never degrades. It can take 450 years for some types of plastic bottle to break down. One type, PET, while known to be the best and most recycled, like all types of plastic, doesn't biodegrade. However, some plastic is compostable, but only under certain conditions. Out of all the plastic that is produced, only about 9% is recycled. In developed countries such as the UK, this rate is about 30%. And what about Indonesia?
In Indonesia, every year more than 5.6 million tons plastic is used, which is equivalent to around 40,000 blue whales, one of the largest creatures on Earth.
Convenience has bred a throwaway culture. But waste does not really go away once thrown. Do we really need to get a disposable coffee cup when we can also carry a reusable mug? If you are a coffee drinker, imagine how many cups you can save in a year.
Plastic affordability and durability makes it the most widely used packaging material today. This is the reason why plastic consumption has increased significantly in the world.
Plastic packaging seems at times so obviously wasteful. Do we really need to wrap a cucumber in foil? However, there are two sides of the story. A cucumber wrapped in foil stays fresh for 3 months, compared to only 3 days for an unwrapped one. And we know that close to $1 trillion is lost to food waste every year. And food waste does contribute to global greenhouse gas emissions, about 8%. In fact, the food that is wasted is sufficient to feed 2 billion people. So making sure food does not perish on its way to consumers in supermarkets or in their fridge matters a great deal.
There's a lot that needs to be done, and there's a role that everyone has to play in this. First of all, producers, and actually making sure that the packaging that they have is fully recyclable in design and actually can be recycled in practice and at scale. And for this to happen, there needs to be a right system in place in the countries to actually collect, sort, and recycle the materials back into something else.
For companies, need to work on circular packaging, such as how to use 100% recyclable material and also increasing proportion of recycled content.
Those are good points, and many companies are going in that direction. And what can consumers like you and I do?
Then there's a critical role of consumers in this as well, because of course, if consumers are not sorting their trash and not separating garbage and the materials, then it makes it even harder for the waste management systems to actually recycle them. So all in all, it's really something where we all need to collaborate to actually make sure that we can transform this linear economy into a circular economy.
So the answer is probably not zero packaging, but smarter, better, less packaging. And companies and governments are taking action. At a recent United Nations Environment Assembly, countries from around the world took a stance to limiting plastic use. And you can take a stance too. Here are some tips to limit your plastic use and waste.
Work without plastic might be challenging. Let's be wiser with 3R approach: reduce, reuse, and recycle. Reduce means start to reduce the plastic packaging. For companies, innovation on lightweighting plays important role. And reuse, instead of throw away our plastic packaging, reuse it. And for recycle, is one of the important action to create a second life of plastic packaging. For example, we can create bags from sachet waste, or we can turn plastic bottle waste to the new bottle or other products with recycling technology. It is one of the proof print for circularity.
Get informed. Get informed, read the labels, understand the waste management system in your country, and refuse to start. So refuse unnecessary packaging or plastic, for example, straws. Right now there's a lot of hype around packaging and plastic in general. But the problem isn't plastic or packaging. The problem is how that is handled, how that is used, how that is recycled, and how it ends up or not into nature, how it leaks out into the natural environment.
Fact sheet. Food waste and packaging. Lesson 1 of 1, reducing food-related waste. What do you think? How big of a problem is food waste? Is it close to a third of the world's food production is wasted each year? Or the equivalent of $900 billion is lost to food waste each year? Or world's food waste can feed 2 billion people? Or food waste contributes to 8% of global greenhouse gas emissions? All the facts are actually correct. Food waste is causing big social, economic and environmental problems. Priority actions for reducing waste. A waste management hierarchy goes in the following order: from most preferable to least preferable option. Waste prevention, waste reuse, waste recycling, waste disposal. It is often hard for consumers to see that waste disposal is not the only available option. Consider some suggested strategies for reducing waste, related waste. Let's list them in order of their preferability. Priority level 1, waste prevention. What are some small ways in which you can avoid making waste in the first instance? When it comes to food, perhaps you can be more mindful when you shop and only buy what you need and can consume. Eat the fresh produce first so that they do not spoil. Be aware of expiration dates and plan accordingly your meals. When it comes to avoiding waste from packaging, why not bring along your own reusable shopping bag, water bottle or food container? Those small actions really add up. Priority level 2, reusing. When you reuse or repurpose a product, you are once again preventing the generation of waste. Think of all the bits of food that you throw away when you cook. Can you repurpose some of the lemon skin as a flavour for cakes? If your food is too much, perhaps you can give it to a friend or donate to a charity. Some food could also be fed to domestic animals or pets. When it comes to packaging, certain yogurt pots can be used as a pencil holder or flower pots. How about using glass jars to store various loose items or make preserves? Wine bottles can make wonderful candlesticks. Priority level 3, recycling. Waste is now a fact. What next? In the case of food, collect your leftovers into a special bin for composting. If you live in a house with a yard or a garden, the compost can be collected directly in your backyard and used to fertilize your garden. In many cities, compost is being collected by local municipalities and used to produce natural fertilizer. This way, the waste helps generate employment and income while also restoring the soil. When it comes to recycling food packaging, follow the system established by your city or country for recycling of waste. Guidelines may vary across localities, but most countries have a system for collecting paper, cardboard, aluminium, certain kinds of plastics, and glass. Priority level 4, waste disposal. As a last resort, make sure that whatever little waste you produce after applying the prevention, reuse and recycling strategies is disposed of in the designated containers. Positive examples of waste reduction. Let's click on the picture to flip it and read the example, then click on the arrow to move to the next example. Political action is on the rise. The European Union is phasing out all single-use plastics by 2021. This means no more plastic cutlery, straws and coffee stirrers and so on. Meanwhile, France is planning a penalty system that would increase the cost of goods with packaging made of non-recyclable plastic. Use of non-biodegradable polythene bags is prohibited. Great! Developing countries are setting an example. Rwanda introduced a strict ban on all plastic bags as early as 2008. It is now one of the cleanest countries not only in Africa but worldwide. Approval for the policy is widespread among Rwandans. Many developed and developing countries have now followed suit. And that photo was taken at the Kigali airport. Let's look at this image of the mobile phone. Tech innovation is helping to fight food waste. Specific apps allow for cafes and restaurants to sell meals at a reduced price instead of throwing them away, for individuals to share or donate surplus food, and businesses to connect to charities.